Okay, this is the most viewed article on my Substack. Uh, so let's read it. It's by the way, it's the most viewed by a wide margin, by like 4 times more than every other post. So, uh, in defense of Rob Liefeld, he doesn't need me to do this. This is a drawing by Rob Liefeld. Go ahead, laugh a little. It's okay. I'll give you a minute. Here's a few more Liefeld cat memes. Also, there's a running gag that Rob can't draw feet. Go and have fun with that one. So it's settled then. Rob Liefeld sucks. That works, except for the fact that Rob is one of the most influential comic book artists of all time, and also one of the highest selling. So how and why did such a bad artist become such a prominent figure in comic book art? Are the fans just dum-dums? Let's clear some things up. First, I want to highlight for you just how famous Rob Liefeld has been. Here, he is in a Levi's commercial that aired in the mid-90s. Note that this commercial doesn't feature a Rob Liefeld cameo. The commercial is completely about Rob. The advertised product barely appears. So I don't think I can play this video on YouTube, so the article will be linked in the description so you can find all the videos I embedded in the article. But it really is that way. Like, it's an article about Levi's, and Levi's pants show up like 3 seconds in the whole commercial. But it's all about Rob Liefeld. Rob was so famous in the 1990s that hip-hop royalty were going to his signings. Sales were through the roof. Comic shops were making mint, and so were comics publishers. In a different article, I touched on the image revolution and how it shook the comics biz. Rob's fame and the leverage it imparted him was instrumental in making that happen. How could such a bad artist ascend to these heights? The secret is that Rob isn't a bad artist. Rob is a good artist. People think he's bad mostly because the internet told them to think so. In this podcast, Rob talks about never hearing he sucks until he joined CompuServe. He describes his confusion when reading these anonymous comments. All evidence indicated otherwise. Long lineups at signings, fan praise, consistently high sales, accolades from respected peers. But an egregore was aggregating. Rob Liefeld sucks became an internet goblin who continues its mischief in internet land. Sometimes, rarely, making forays into real life, like the time a guy went to Rob at a convention with a copy of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, insisting Rob read it. Hey, if you want to be a jerk, that's on you. All this while Rob and his family bounce from success to success, luxuriate in their mansion, and exercise in the basketball court built in their basement. Rob has been a comic artist for 30 years now. He has drawn thousands of panels, leaving a permanent record behind. Think about your day job. How many of those days were good, and how many were bad? What if we could air all your bad moments on YouTube? Would there be any rushed work in there? Something glass houses. Rob is nothing but an inspiration. He taught himself to draw in the middle of juggling construction jobs and delivering pizza. He had multiple jobs to help out his family while his dad was in a brain tumor-induced coma. Rob hustled and eventually got a job in comics. His work connected with the audience because he was the audience. Imagine you're a 13-year-old boy, and what you're used to seeing is this. Look at the screen if you're just listening. We see examples of what would have been the average superhero comic art. Good, but perhaps stayed basic. A few years later, you start seeing this. Again, look at the screen if you're just listening. This is Rob Liefeld's dynamic, aggressive line work. You are jarred. The figures are huge, angry, scratchy, gritty. They have swords and guns. They are mean looking. You are entering your teen years and encountering artwork that expresses an angst and a power you don't quite understand. You feel like something dangerous has entered your imagination's landscape. This excites you. Comic book creator, philosopher, analyst extraordinaire Scott McCloud discusses this effect in the Living in Line chapter in Understanding Comics. And here we have the image of that part of the chapter where he describes how different line types express different emotions and tones. And he gives some examples, and one of the examples is Rob Liefeld's art. And he theorizes that Rob Liefeld struck a chord with the anxieties of adolescence. Rob made art for the people. I've noticed lately that the modern art is a psyop meme has been gaining steam. This is a drum I quit beating years ago because people weren't interested. But since bubbling up, I recommend this book to learn more about this topic, and that's Hugh Wilford's How the CIA Played America, and it's a airtight journalistic investigative report. Really good book. It does discuss the CIA's involvement in the modern art movement. People are getting fed up of fakeness and of being gaslit about it too. You may not like Rob's art, but it isn't fake. At his best, Rob means every single line he puts down. In his podcast, Rob describes his craft as manual labor in that he draws with his hands and is decidedly working class in his mentality. He's not making art to impress academics and curators. He's doing it to impress the fans. He achieved that goal splendidly. The enduring success of his creations will outlive him and continue testifying this truth. And this is two of Rob's creations. It's Deadpool and Bishop that are, in the movies, and Rob's collecting royalties off of his original creations there. I feel I have made a good case for Rob. Not that he needs me to. He's got plenty of fans that do this already. But I'd like to add a few other notes in Rob's favor. Rob, after 30 years of being in the biz, is still excited about it. His enthusiasm rivals Stan Lee's, except that, contrary to Stan, Rob means it. Being the son of a Baptist minister imparted upon Rob an evangelical spirit which he uses to praise the comics medium. Rob, despite the world getting flipped upside down, still espouses good old-fashioned values. He is constantly talking about how proud he is of his children and of his wife. He takes new artists under his wing to help them as they navigate the terrible labyrinth that is the comics biz. Rob is one of the only industry leaders who spoke up about Ed's death by mobbing. If you don't know about Ed's death, you can look up Ed Piskor and read up about it. Rob delivered a heartfelt, broken-hearted eulogy to Ed. Most touching is his emphasis on how it could have been me. Rob understands being the target of internet ire and so can feel some of the pain Ed must have felt. They were friends, and Ed was one of those artists Rob was mentoring. People go on the internet and laugh about how Rob sucks, all while Rob keeps making things his fans love. There are two paths here. Which will you walk? And here I put additional resources to learn about like the image revolution and Rob Liefeld and all that. So this one got 25 likes, 19 comments, 4 restacks. And let's visit the comments. Ali Mullen, I remember seeing something by Rob Liefeld for the first time. I think it was a Suicide Squad backup story. His early style was very different, smaller characters, more attention to background. The man was good from the beginning. He could tell the story. Yeah, he's right. It's funny how we accept all kinds of zany styles, especially in animation. But there's this uncanny valley in comics where it's too close to realism to have any fun. I enjoyed X-Force when it came out. When I saw those memes, my first thought was this was a Deadline issue. Man is overworked. Let's see. Yes, I agree with all of this, Laura Louise. I've always liked Rob Liefeld's art. It has this interesting, zany quirk to it that I'm really attracted to. So people like Rob. Rob isn't my cup of tea, man of the atom. You should check out this guy's Substack's really good. But he delivered product on time. Yeah, that was a job. I suspect that is part of why he's disliked. Much like Jim Shooter made the creators stick to deadlines. Envy is a powerful drug. I don't doubt many of Rob's detractors have it in spades. Yeah, definitely. Like, he was the top of the heap. He's going to get some people that are upset about that. I could not agree more, Zach. Thank you for articulating it so well. You're welcome. I unironically enjoy Rob's work because it brings me back to drawing on copybooks. See, that's beautiful. The fact that he inspired, it's like the Ramones or the Sex Pistols. They weren't like the most sophisticated, like technically musicians, but they inspired a lot of people to pick up a guitar, right? His enthusiasm really comes across. Unrestrained imagination, definitely. Brothers Kryn, Ed Piskor's death was tragic. Liefeld's enthusiasm is one I didn't know about. Kudos to Liefeld. So there's a discussion on Stan Lee here that's worth checking out. That's it. So a few things I noticed. So the only thing, I still stand behind absolutely everything I wrote here. There is go to the article. There is a podcast linked here where Rob discusses how he sucks. And he discusses how confused he was. In this podcast here, which is Rob's podcast called Robservations with Rob Liefeld. The episode's from May 16, While I Was Sucking. This is a very inspirational podcast for comic artists there, because he's talking about how he was seeing his work going well and people loving it, and people were saying on the internet that he sucked, and it just didn't make sense to him. And the way he discusses it is just very impressive. So, all right, this is one of the longer articles, but still one of the highest likes. So I guess people really enjoyed that I came to Rob Liefeld's defense. And I think he doesn't need defense. It was a meme for a while, and people just kind of piled on. You know how it is on the internet. People mob people, and it's terrible. But so Rob was just kind of got caught up in there, and because there's a story behind this one that was actually it's not part of a comic. It was some quick pinup that he drew, and some people are speculating that he used a reference and he was drawing it too quick or something. But yeah, definitely check out Rob Liefeld's stuff and Rob Liefeld's podcast. You won't regret it. He's a cool guy. All right. See you in the next one. Thank you.